To the unknowing observer, these landscapes may look nothing more than dead and empty. But this remote red rock and its industrious inhabitants played a pivotal role in events that would change the entire galaxy forever. This is Geonosis. A remote desert planet located in the outer rim territories of the galaxy. Geonosis is a world known for its arid landscapes, towering red rock formations, and overall hostile environment. Geonosis has played a central role in galactic history, being the epicenter of political upheaval and the starting point of a war that spread throughout the galaxy. The geography of Geonosis is characterized by great red deserts, where huge sand dunes are piled up by the hot winds, and rugged, rocky wastelands that reach beyond the horizon.
Every now and then, a deep canyon breaks through these landscapes, leading many to speculate about a time in the planet's history when there was enough water to dig so deep into the rock.
Invisible to the observer,
branched cave systems crisscross the ground beneath the seemingly endless rock plateaus. The extensive caverns provide a refuge from the hostile conditions on the planet's surface, but many of the natives' stories revolve around the dangers that lurk in the impenetrable darkness of the depths. Because of the planet's weak magnetic field, its surface was frequently scorched by deadly solar storms emanating from its violent host star. Despite numerous mass extinctions, life was able to adapt, and a few species found strategies to survive the radiation that would hit the planet. But no matter how successful the adaptation, nothing could prepare them for what was to happen next. An event of almost unprecedented magnitude took place when the largest of Geonosis's moons was destroyed by the tremendous impact of a large comet. The celestial body was completely shattered. For months, countless pieces rained down on the planet, turning its surface into a boiling furnace and killing almost every living thing. The pieces that remained in orbit slowly started to form an impressive system of planetary rings. For a long time after that, life was denied any recovery, as large rocks would continue to impact Geonosis' surface over the next thousands of years, until the rings around the planet had completely stabilized. Only a few particularly hardened species survived in this disaster-ridden environment. The Geonosians, sentient insectoids, survived thanks to their ability to adapt to life in the cave systems and to dig their burrows underground. When they returned to the surface, they quickly established themselves as the dominant species on Geonosis. Split in many individual hives, Geonosian society was structured by a caste system. The less intelligent drones in the worker caste were at the bottom of society. Apart from brief periods of sleep in cramped mass quarters, the drones' lives consisted almost entirely of hard work to drive the hive's economy. Higher up, we found the warrior caste. Compared to the drones, the warriors were treated a little better to ensure that they were healthy and strong when the day came for which they were born for, to die by the millions in one of the many fierce wars between constantly competing hives. On the top was the aristocrat caste, a group of entitled Geonosians who lived in luxury and benefited from the accomplishments of the lower castes. Some of them were responsible for administrative tasks to keep the hive running, but most aristocrats simply enjoyed the generosity of the one who was actually in power. Rarely seen by the average hive member, and a mystery to outsiders, every hive was ruled by a single Geonosian queen. The queens lived in the deepest chambers of the hives and influenced large-scale developments through the, to some degree, collective mind of their children, as they laid more and more eggs to further increase the number of their subjects. They were devotedly cared for by their servants. The hives themselves were built mostly underground, connected to Geonosis' vast cave systems. Their location was indicated only by large red spires used to catch wind and ventilate the lower parts of the hives. The spires looked almost like natural rock formations to outsiders, reinforcing the impression that Geonosis was nothing more than a dead red rock. Nevertheless, some of the hives, such as Gehenbar or the Stalgason hive, rivaled even the largest cities on most other planets. They housed huge production facilities and even large spaceports hidden in the barren landscape. The biggest hives even had places for entertainment, like the Great Petronaki Arena, also called the Geonosian Execution Arena, where prisoners had to fight exotic beasts to entertain the lower castes and keep them from revolting despite the harsh conditions of their everyday life. But the Geonosians were not the only species that survived beneath the surface. A variety of animals roamed the caves. One of the largest predators were the Murdith, carnivorous insectoids with massive armored bodies supported by hundreds of legs. They mostly hunted other animals, but sometimes attacked the lesser protected working-class sleeping caves of smaller hives to feed on the helpless drones. Another ferocious predator were the Orays. They were much smaller than the Murdith and often snuck into the brood chambers to feed on Geonosian larvae. However, they could be tamed by cutting off their tails, which made them far less aggressive, and so they were sometimes used as mounts by the Geonosians. There also were the Phidnas, small bug-like insects, whose bodies emitted an orange glow in the darkness of the large cave systems. These creatures were cultivated by the Geonosians for their secretion, that, when mixed with other ingredients, would over time get hard as rock and was used to build structures like the massive spires of the Geonosian hives. Miners from the nearby Tatooine first explored the planet 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, when large mining cooperations tried to establish a foothold in the sector. Although the Geonosians were generally skeptical of outsiders, they showed great interest in the explorers' technologies. Seeing the potential benefits, the hard-working Geonosians quickly adapted the technology to build labor droids, establishing an additional workforce below their worker drones to further strengthen the hives. It wasn't long before Geonosis was home to some of the largest droid production facilities in the galaxy. However, most of the droids produced remained on Geonosis, and due to the very low number of exports to other worlds, the larger galaxy barely took notice for a long time. As a result, the planet received little to no attention in most galactic conflicts of the time. Soon, large corporations realized the potential of the planet's remote location and heavily invested in the Geonosian facilities. Millions of mindless worker drones dug huge droid foundries into the planet, sometimes up to 1 kilometer deep. Outsiders' interest drove the automation of these facilities forward and pushed more and more of them towards the production of military technology. The largest investor was a company called Bactoid Armor Workshop, a weapon design and manufacturing company associated with both the Trade Federation and the Techno Union. The company was looking for production facilities outside the scope of the laws of the Republic, which limited the production of military equipment, and which became increasingly strict over the centuries. Geonosis proved to be the perfect ground for their endeavors, and soon the Geonosians started to manufacture countless battle droids for both the Techno Union and the Trade Federation. When the Stalgasin Hive established itself as the dominating hive on Geonosis, the military complex once more entered a rapid expansion phase. Geonosian industries, controlled by the Stalgasin Archduke Poggle the Lesser, joined the Techno Union. This move placed all of its previously independent manufacturing capacity at the service of a political idealist and secret Sith Lord named Count Dooku. Geonosis, once famous for the production of civilian labor droids, soon became a main contributor to the military power of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, also known as the Separatists, who aimed at independence from the Republic's rule and economical limitations. About 10 years later, Republic forces had to intervene in an attempted execution of 2 captured Jedi Knights and a Republic senator. This operation escalated into the First Battle of Geonosis and the beginning of the Clone Wars, a conflict that would quickly spread across much of the known galaxy and last for several years. During the battle, the Republic clone army sought to destroy the surprised Separatist forces on Geonosis, as well as the planet's battle droid production capabilities. Although the battle was ultimately won by Republic forces, most Separatist assets were successfully evacuated from Geonosis and fled into hyperspace. Only a small number of the Separatists' military forces was destroyed by the Republic's clone army, who now controlled the planet. As the Clone Wars expanded, Republic forces were stretched thin and the Republic slowly lost control over the planet. With the support of the banking clan, Poggle the Lesser, still the Archduke, managed to build a secret but heavily fortified new droid factory and planned to supply the Separatists once again with military equipment produced on Geonosis. When this was uncovered, the clone army invaded the planet for a second time. The Geonosian defense was stronger than Republic forces had initially expected, and casualties on both sides were very high. In the end, the invaders managed to disable the droid factories during the Second Battle of Geonosis. In the last months of the Clone Wars, construction of the first Death Star began by the Geonosians under orders of Darth Sidious, Count Dooku's master and secret leader of the Separatists. As soon as the hyperdrive was installed, the project was relocated multiple times to other planets to keep it a secret during construction. After the Clone Wars ended, and the Republic was reorganized into the Galactic Empire, Geonosis remained as one of the last Separatist holdouts. The Geonosians, who refused to join the Empire, secretly continued the production of battle droids to defend themselves. During the later stages of the Death Star's construction, the Geonosians, who were still used as slave labor for the project, finally revolted. Sidious, now Emperor of the First Galactic Empire, sent out his new apprentice Darth Vader, as well as a massive strike force to invade Geonosis. The Geonosians, who had secretly supported the Rebel Alliance in the establishment of a base on Geonosis, fought hard against the invaders, using their army of battle droids. The battle was fierce, but in the end Imperial forces destroyed the Rebel base, as well as multiple Geonosian hives. Millions of Geonosians were slaughtered by the Imperials to put an end to the revolt. The surviving Geonosians were forced to continue their slave labor until the Death Star finished construction years later. After the end of the Empire's rule over the galaxy, the Geonosians pursued a policy of isolation. All ties with off-worlders were severed, as they had only brought death and slavery to their people, who now yearned for peace and reconstruction on their battle-scarred home planet of Geonosis.